is generally referred to as the controller of capital market. Now, as I said, even though some of the measures or some of the regulatory regime adopted by SEBI can have direct or indirect control in the money market. Okay, because some of the instruments they might come into because of the nature short term, like you can say short term or long term when we talk about share, because I can remain in share market for a long time or short time. So depending on these aspects, like maybe short term capital gain, long term capital gain, or some other policies which can guide both the money market and capital market. But primarily, SEBI is into regulation of capital market affairs. Okay, now I'll just show you the website of SEBI. I'm just taking you through that. See, this is the official website of Security Exchange Board of India, where you can see that they have they are talking about different aspects where it talks about SEBI Act, RTI Act, if you want to know about, and then if you want to read about the affairs, or if you want to know about the general orders, guidelines issued by SEBI, or the enforcement orders, or maybe certain reports, statistics, research publications, all these aspects you can actually refer to this website. There are a lot of study materials also available in this category. So when you are looking from the perspective of understanding the current happening, see, you can, the scroll down bars, you can see that what are the measures being taken by SEBI for controlling or for fighting against COVID, or maybe many of the companies are affected by COVID pandemic. So what are the measures being adopted by SEBI for that? All these, you can get the final wording, the final collection of all these informations are being presented here in this website. In fact, I would say that this website is a comprehensive way of collecting information regarding the operation of SEBI in India. So that's why I've just shared you this aspect also, so that any additional to what we are discussing in the class, apart from your textbook, it is available here in this platform. So you may visit it, you will prepare additional notes based on these, and that can enrich your answers. Okay, now going back to our discussion. So in our today's class, we would be specifically looking into the role performed by Security Exchange Board of India in the context of India. Okay, so looking into the history, we can say that Security Exchange Board of India, the first notification for setting up of such a body, such an official body, it came up in 1988. 12th April. That was the first notification, or as we say, the draft proposal was presented before the Parliament for setting up Security Exchange Board of India. Prior to that, there were operations, but it was under the tag of association, or there were no official such organization which was primarily entrusted into the responsibility of capital market regulations. So after this notification in 1988, SEBI Act was passed in 1992, leading to the setting up of Security Exchange Board of India in the country. So 1988, the first notification came. Later, many process happened, like verification. The committee was appointed to study the relevance. After all these, the positive response towards that was through the Security Exchange Board of India Act in 1992, and thereby it led to the setting up of SEBI. Now, before we enter into discuss about any of the functions of SEBI, you have to remember three keywords regarding the functions of SEBI, or the role played by SEBI. That itself explains the whole thing what we are going to do in next 20 or 30 minutes. That is, three main functions: protecting the interest of the investors, promoting the development of capital market, regulating and controlling the affairs in the financial system. I say specifically to capital market, but it will be playing a major role in regulation of the financial system. So that's why we say it remains with three keywords: protect, promote, and regulate. These are the three keywords which you have to remember when you are writing about the role of SEBI. So protection of the interest of the investors who come into the market, promoting the growth of capital market, regulating the, in fact, protecting requires regulating the activities in the market. So these are the three core functions that's being performed by Security Exchange Board of India. Right? Now moving forward. So based on this, the objectives of SEBI can be categorized into, again, three. One is, as I said, protecting the interest of the investors. Two, ensuring that there is fair practice in the market, in the capital market. In fact, that is very much connected with regulation of the activities that is happening in the market. So all fraudulent transactions need to be avoided. You are bringing a transparent mechanism within the system. That's where we go with the online platforms, online transaction of money, and every customer, or as you say, there are a lot of awareness programs being conducted so that people are not cheated by the intermediaries. Maybe not, they have correct information about what is happening in the market. And the transactions that is happening in the market, which may be made by institutions, which can be made by individuals, but that is happening as per the rules and regulations. So that is what we call as fair practices. There is no fraudulent transaction. There is no transaction that is not protecting the interest of the investor. And this investor can be institutional investors or individual investors. Institutional investors are companies or corporations that come into capital market. Individual investors can be people like us, who go with investment in maybe mutual fund or life insurance, or as you say, taking up a life insurance policy, or going with investment in shares or investment in commodity market. All these can be individual investors. And then promotion of efficient services. There are different types of financial services which we have learned when we were learning about the structure of Indian financial system. Like we learned about merchant banking services, right? Investment management services. We also told about factoring, leasing, hire purchasing, right? So all these are different types of services that is being rendered to promote an efficient financial system. Most of it is set to happen in capital market. So promotion of efficient services includes licensing, like anybody cannot come into the market and act as a merchant banker. Anybody can come into the market and sell insurance policy. That's not possible. You have to get license. You have to get registered yourself with SEBI, and with the permission of permission to operate in the market, parties can enter into the market. So this is, again, they are promoting efficient financial services such that it is building the confidence of public with respect to financial market. So that's why you cannot just enter the market and do whatever you want. SEBI controls, regulates, and ensures that only right persons, permitted persons who have license, who have got permission from SEBI, is entering the market and rendering various services. So this will ensure the promotion of efficient services. Right? So these are the three main objectives, as you can see, that is being rendered by SEBI. Primarily, okay, if you expand this can go up to 50 or 60 points. But if you summarize that into 3 points, all that will be brought under these three headings. Okay. And when we look in the powers of Security Exchange Board of India, primary thing, as a regulator, they have the power to investigate into every small and big affairs that is happening in the market. SEBI is vested with, suppose if SEBI is finding that the operation of a company is, there is something skeptical about the operation of a company, they can ask for reports. SEBI can directly ask report from such companies regarding their performance, regarding the level of operations. See, if I want, I can also submit, as we say, submit complaint, register a complaint stating the problem which I faced in the capital market. I have shown this site. There you can see that there was a portal where I can lodge my complaint. Right, so that is possible. So that SEBI is trying to be closer to the investors to understand the pulse of the market. Right. So the powers vested with SEBI cannot be limited to one or two organizations operating in the market, but to everything happening in the capital market. That's why we have put all that in points. One is to the right to call for periodical returns. Of course, that's a mandatory thing. Periodical returns needs to be filed by as we call the stock markets. Okay, we have as we learned, national stock exchanges and regional stock exchanges, and they have to file periodical returns regarding their operations with Security Exchange Board of India. As such, all the listed companies also they have to go with giving information maybe at the time of at the time of listing their shares in the stock market, and also in between when they go with the revision, maybe right issue or bonus issue or additional issue. All these cases they have to provide complete information regarding the performance, regarding their financial performance for the past few years, regarding the board of directors, the annual general meeting, the guidelines being issued to the intermediaries, all these aspects that need to be furnished with SEBI. So SEBI has the right to call for it. You bring it, you file it with us. What are the details regarding your company performance? Suppose if SEBI finds, like, as it happened with Satyam case or Enron case, or there are a lot of fraudulent cases that has happened here recently in the capital market. Suppose if SEBI finds that, yes, there is some kind of fraudulent activities happening in a company or maybe in a particular sector, and they can immediately take measures to prevent it, which includes filing of necessary returns, issue of necessary regulations, or banning. They can ban certain companies from operations if they find that their operations are not according to law. All these things. So these powers are vested with SEBI. And grant approvals. The second thing is they have the power to grant approvals. Now, to whom? To every participant in the every market participant in the capital market. As I said, whoever, suppose if we want to start up, if an institution or an organization or a group of institutions are coming up to set up a stock exchange, you have to get the approval from SEBI. If you're coming up with lodging or you want to invite capital from the market by issue of shares, you have to get approval. Then maybe if you are planning to lodge a new type of instrument in the market, you have to get the permission of SEBI. So that approval part, maybe if you are going to engage in foreign capital investment, you need to get the approval through the through the regulated channels. So all these approvals, another power is granting approvals for setting up various organizations or various for rendering various services in the capital market. Say, for example, if SBI wants to float a new category of mutual fund in the market, they have SBI mutual fund. So first and foremost, they have to get the approval from SEBI. They have a separate wing which takes care of these instruments, issue of instruments and managing these instruments. So they have to get approval from this wing before they go with the prior sanction has to be obtained from SEBI before deciding upon launching a particular instrument in the market. So that's one part. Then power to control and regulate. SEBI, as a regulator of capital market, has the power to regulate and control the activities of all the market participants. Like if you say, there is something called as, when the share market prices are fluctuating to a greater extent, some of the company shares are going with a steep fluctuation, maybe a steep high or a very low. In that case, SEBI has issued guideline that if it moves a certain level, you have to stop transaction of that particular share on that day, right? So that is every function, every activity in the market. Suppose if you find that one company is purchasing too much of shares from the market, they are accumulating a particular company share to a greater extent to have the control of that company. SEBI can interfere in that and check whether that's a valid transaction. And if they find that there is some problem with, or if there is some case of fraudulent transaction in that, they can immediately intervene. So that's what we call about the controlling and regulation of market trading or market services. And if you say that some company is not authorized, or maybe they have not got authorization for selling long-term or products in the market, or dealing with long-term products, so that power, the power to regulate the operations in a capital market, is vested with Security Exchange Board of India. And then that's very common. If you have to control and regulate, you have to have law, right? Law and bylaw for it. So that basically is drafted by SEBI, and the body, the constitution of SEBI ensures that these laws and bylaws are properly implemented and followed by the market participants. That again is a power. It's power to exercise these laws in the market, power to penalize those who are going against the law, power to charge offense against those individuals or institutions who are not following law. So all these will be, it's not like one man or SEBI entirely, the entire thing is not vested with SEBI, but together market regulators are in a charge of controlling the market transaction. But SEBI will be looking into capital market, or as we say, long-term market, where the shares or preference shares or debentures or bonds, all these are involved in this long-term market. Then listing of shares. Listing is nothing but entering the shares in the official list of stock exchange to be traded in the market. As we have learned, stock exchange is a secondary market. So a share or a unit of ownership, once issued in the primary market, if you want to again sell it and get back your money, if you want to have liquidity to that, it has to be listed in the stock exchange, maybe National Stock Exchange like Bombay Stock Exchange, or National Stock Exchange, right? So that listing requires permission from SEBI. Okay, you have to first file the application and then get the permission, get the approval, then you go with listing that in the stock market. As I said, licensing is another important. Granting licensing to different types of services, like to act as a mutual fund companies, to register yourself as an insurance company, to enter into the merchant banking services, to offer the services of venture capital financing. In all these categories, you have to obtain licensing. And that licensing, the rules, the regulations, the parameters, everything will be controlled by SEBI. So SEBI has a power to grant or not to grant license to a particular organization. And conduct inquiries, I already said. The power to conduct inquiries means, suppose if they want to, basically this is to ensure the protection of interest of the investors. Because when you invest in a market, when companies are investing in market, basically it can be the fund which they have generated from common public. Or maybe say you imagine the case of a mutual fund. There are a lot of people who have contributed to build that fund. They have made their investment, their hard-earned money into that investment. And if this mutual fund company go with the wrong kind of investment, what happens here is that money will be lost. So it's not the loss to the company, it's actually the loss to the investors who have made investment with them, which means public money is not used properly. So this is what they do by conducting regular inquiries, by keeping a track of the kind of financial transactions that is happening in the market. SEBI ensures that there is protection of money that has been invested in different sources. So that is why they go with the track. Say, suppose if there are so frequent transactions in a particular account, say for example, if a particular company, if a company comes with a lot of investments in the market, and after some time, that's what happened, maybe 5 years, 6 years back, came up with a lot of investments in the market, but then when they pull that immediately on one fine day, that will be affecting the Indian capital market in a negative way. This happened with respect to foreign direct investments. We talk about the investments that come into a capital market in two forms: foreign investments. One is foreign direct investment, where investment is made to the capital of a company, which is a long run perspective, or it can be in the form of foreign institutional investment, where you take a indirect route. In both these cases, you are making investment in India. Foreign nationals are investing in India. And if one fine morning, if they take all the money out of India, if they find some other market more attractive, that will lead, maybe that one day can lead to a crash in the Indian capital market. So in order to avoid that, in order to check the movement of these foreign participants, in order to have some kind of managed affairs, SEBI would be tracking. They will be issuing guidelines from time to time. They will be monitoring these transactions made by foreign institutional investors as well as individual investors, right? All these. So that is where we talk about controlling or conducting these inquiries to control the market transactions. And of course, the last one I already said, granting of registration. Granting of registration is nothing but uh, every organization, every like mutual fund companies or banks, or as we say, when you are going with banks, of course, if you are setting up for a banking company, you just have to get the approval from RBI. But if you're going with setting up a mutual fund business, you have to get your permission from a central bank as well as from SEBI. If you're going with another wing of operation as selling your insurance, like bank assurance, through your channel, you have to get permission from RBI as well as you have to get permission from the regulator of capital market, that is SEBI. So you have to follow the guidelines that's been issued by SEBI from time to time. So that's where we talk about this granting registration. So they can grant it or they can withdraw it. Suppose if they find that one particular company or maybe an institution is not operating as per the guidelines issued by SEBI from time to time, they can withdraw the license. So that is also vested as a power for SEBI. So these are the broader powers of Security Exchange Board of India. So that's where we were trying to, like, to summarize what has happened in our today's class. I again bring back your attention to the first slide which I showed, that is protect, promote and regulate. So these are the three key areas, as we say, the role performed by SEBI. Protecting means, how does SEBI do that? Protecting the interest of the share of the investors. And as I said, these investors can be institutional investors or individual investors. And how SEBI protects the interest? By issuing guidelines from time to time, by monitoring the type of transaction that is happening in the market, by creating, as we see, the institutional regime with the institutions operating in the market. And at the same time, the SEBI also ensures that the investments made by institutional investors are channelized into right kind of sources, so that public money is not lost. And for that purpose, they often conduct meetings, they often call for information from different institutional as well as individual partners. They call for returns to be filed by stock markets and companies on a regular basis. They ask for mainly two stages. When a company is going for issue of capital from stock market, they have two. One is called as, they have to file an initial draft proposal inviting public to subscribe to that, which is called as red herring prospectus, which they have to file at the beginning, furnishing all the information like what are you planning to, how much capital are you trying to raise from the market, and what is the purpose, what are you going to do with this fund. All these needs to be explained in that document. And then the second is when they go for the listing. Again, they will have to go with how much is it you're going with the listing, what is the total capital of the company, and you have to give information about your assets and liabilities. So these are some of the measures that are being used by SEBI to protect the interest of the investors. Then promotion of the development of capital market can be classified into two. One is awareness, creating a lot of awareness. As you can see, when I showed you the site, you can see in one box awareness program propagated by SEBI on this date, right? So these are one way creating awareness among the people regarding the investment opportunities in capital market. In India, even today, we have only less than 5% of people investing their money in capital market. That may be because they are not aware, maybe they are little doubtful, skeptical about the risk exposures in a capital market. So SEBI is promoting the development of capital market, because the development of capital market can happen only when more and more people come to this market. If there are less participants, development may not happen. That is why SEBI is promoting this development of capital market, one way by conducting a lot of awareness program. Two, in another way, SEBI encourages a lot of institutional participation, help in setting up different types of services that are being popularized based on the customized needs of investors. So promoting a lot of services or different types of efficient services in the capital market. And finally, regulation is basically the underlying principle. It happens in two ways. One is you draft different types of policies and guidelines that is being implemented and ensures that these policies are followed in the market. So it happens in three ways: drafting, implementing, communicating to people, ensures that it is reaching the people on right time. Last part, it has been ensured that that is being practiced. So that means regular monitoring of transactions happening in the market. So that's where we talk about the regulatory part. So this is where we started and we end with this. All the explanation of the role played by SEBI in capital market can be summarized into these 3 points: protect, promote, and regulate. Okay, maybe you can say P square R. That's the key to remember the role played by SEBI in Indian capital market.